We're going to say goodbye like we say goodbye on our show. And
okay, guys.
We're going to bid you one dick.
One dick.
Fight presents.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Bonjour, you're watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. I'm TK Trinidad, aka the Canadian Assassin, and I'm not alone. She's the host of Pro Wrestling Clips and Mission Pro Wrestling. Please welcome Emily May.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hey. And we have the senior writer and host of Women's Wrestling Talk in the building, Nickie Booshie.
How is everyone doing today?
Hey, Booshie.
Hello.
And today is going to be a very exciting, interesting show. Of course, nothing but amazing guests. We have the hosts of Wives of Wrestling podcast. Please welcome Kim Orton and Giovanna Angle.
Hey. What's up, you guys? We're super excited for this.
So excited.
So excited. So let's get into it. I listened to a lot of episodes of your podcast. You guys are the podcast that I've been wanting for years. Meaning that, you have, the wrestlers and there's certain things they can or can't say, all this other stuff. You guys give the behind the scenes, the little details that they don't really care to talk about or whatever is going on. Like you guys give all those details, like the fashion and what goes behind the scenes, all that stuff. So I absolutely love your podcast. Let's talk about how it all kind of came together.
Well, me and Giovanna have we just talk shit on the reg. Let's be real. We've been friends for a lot of years, and we met at a wrestling show and at a WrestleMania. So we immediately clicked. We had all these kids, and everybody was kind of around the same age and everything. So we vibed right away. We started talking on the phone, and like immediately the things that we would say and like knowing like people wouldn't really get it if they weren't like surrounded by it. We were like, wow, this would be such an interesting thing to talk about, because fans ask us a lot of times when we're out, they'll ask us or online, they'll be like, hey, what is Randy really like? Or what does Randy really like to watch? Or, what does Kurt, like to eat? And like all just like these random things, right? So we're like, oh my God. We put our husbands on blast all the time. So it would it would make sense for us to talk about it on a podcast. And it was just super fun and interesting. And we have so much to talk about. And I think our husbands are starting to, I know my husband is starting to get a little bit nervous about the things that are coming out of my mouth. But
that's what I'm for too.
Yes, she keeps.
We balance each other in such a great way. So, and our husbands, I mean, they're cool about it, but me, especially us having John, because I feel like he completes us. Our podcast is just having fun and making Mondays better. Mm-hmm. But we're so glad that you guys wanted us on here and wanted, to do this with us. And the fans, we're getting such great positive feedback from them. And we're actually including the fans also. And then we play our little RK No and It's True game, which is obviously you could tell that we really don't know that like a lot from our husband's matches. We don't know shit really. But I think we're just excited like who wins.
I know. And I'm such a competitive person, and Giovanna wins every week. Just so everyone knows.
I haven't won like 2, and I'm like freaking bugged out. But I'm like literally guessing. So, and it's our little dolls right here. So it's fun. And then the great part is like people want to be on her as a guest. They actually say, hey, when are you gonna have me on? And we're like, okay. Just like our next guest.
Yes.
Wait, I don't know if we should say, or is it going to be coming out soon? I don't know, but it's a big one. And she actually reached out personally and says, hey, I want to be on. So I'm like, okay. Yeah. So it's fun. And the fans dig it. So
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I love how honest you both are on this podcast, because someone that is also, their partner is a wrestler. It is a very wild world that we all live in. And so I feel like I was listening to it and could totally relate to some of those stories. And I would love to know, like, how did that conversation happen with both of your partners when you said, hey, we're going to be talking about some really like in-depth and personal stuff on this podcast?
You can go, G.
So I mean, I think Randy and Kurt, they're like an open book. If you really did ask them the questions, they'll answer it. They're not like, hey, like I'm just Kurt Angle. If you ask them questions, they'll answer it. There's some things that we said that after Kurt would be like, why did you say that? So I'm like, he's like, now like boys in the back are going to be making fun of me or whatever. But honestly, I mean, he's a goofball on screen and off. So, and Randy, I feel like he's also an open book too. But when they know that we're not going to go overboard, it's like making them real, and they are not just wrestlers. They're also dads. They're also husbands. And they're pretty good dads and husbands too. So we just want to show the world like they're just like other guys out there, just like other husbands.
You know what it is? They know that we're not trying to bury them.
Exactly.
We're not trying to put them down. We're just having fun. We're saying things that we would say in front of our family, in front of our friends, and in front of people in the back, just nobody gets to hear that. And now they do. So it's little like the last podcast we did, we talked about.
Oh God.
Or I talked about, and I got a little bit of heat from it. Like, wow, like you talked for like over 10 minutes about private parts. I mean, like that's what we're watching, It's all in good fun. They know that, and they're just like going along for the ride. We get a lot of head shakes, like, really?
The greatest thing also is me and Kim are like, we are such movie buffs. So like whenever we are like done watching a show or a movie, we have a group text. So we'll text each other like, oh, what are you watching this week? And we go through shows like crazy. So, I mean, me, Kim, and Randy and Kurt, we're so similar. Like there'd be stuff that we did today, and then Kim would be like, I just did that yesterday. And we're like the Santa shit. Remember the Santa thing?
Yeah. It's just like, no, it makes sense. Of course you did.
Of course, that's all we said.
We were in like Home Depot, and she sends me this big Santa Claus. And she's like, which one should I get? I'm like, I fucking bought the other one yesterday. And she's like, of course you did. And she's like,
you did.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, no, it makes sense. Of course you did. It's just, it's so much fun to be able to do a podcast with my best friend and to like, it's almost like, a marriage or a relationship. You know what I mean? Like we finish each other's sentences. We know what we're thinking, each other's thinking, and we just play off that.
Yeah.
That is so exciting, and I love that. Now, Kim, you mentioned a couple years back how your kids love John Cena. And Giovanna, you mentioned your daughter's love for Bailey. And I'm just curious to know, have there been any superstars, female or male, that have been added to that favorite list, especially with the expansion of RK Bro? Any tag teams added to that as well?
It's so funny that Brooklyn loves wrestling now. And whenever Randy comes on, it's so cute. So if you guys see this, know it's for her. He's been coming on and she goes, Mom, how come he's not waving to me? How come he's not saying hello to me? And so she said that to him when he came home Tuesday. And he's like, baby, next time I go up on the rope, I'm going to pat my chest like this and know that I'm saying hello to you. Yeah. So if you see that, I hope he remembers. If you see that, that's like for Brooklyn. But she's so funny because Anthony, he's 11 and he'll be 12 and they'll wrestle around with each other. And then he goes, Brooklyn, who are you going to be? Who are you going to be? And she's never any of the girls. She's like, I want to be Bobby Ashley. And that's what she calls him. I want to be Bobby Ashley. And he's like, okay, who do you want me to be? And it's never Dad. It's never Dad. Never, ever. But the girl that she loves is Rhea Ripley. She's like, I like her, Mom. She looks like the rock trolls. I'm like, yeah, she does. She loves Rhea and she loves Bobby Ashley.
Ashley. That is so cute.
I love that. That's adorable.
Yeah, Bobby Ashley.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk about some storylines. What are the storylines that comes to your mind when you guys, like, when we decide like you guys are coming on and set the date, is the Jason Jordan storyline. So you like, and I'm sure you guys had this throughout the careers, and like you're seeing some of these storylines, and some of them, because of social media, you know, they don't make sense.
Yeah.
So do you, like, when does your husbands come back and tell you what the storylines are, or is it a surprise to you? Do you get to veto some of them? Because some of them are a little bit out there sometimes. So what's your feelings on that?
It's actually funny because Kurt, he knows, like, I've been with him for 12 years. So we went through some shit with storylines. But I think, like, because whenever he just went to WWE, he was GM, and then he went in and he's like, Vince gave me a child. And I'm like, which one? Which one? And I actually thought, okay, so we laughed. So when they were Alpha, what were they?
Alpha Academy.
Alpha Academy. We always talk shit because we were like, oh, they could totally be our kids. And I don't know how I brought that into the universe, whatever that was. But like the girls would be like, oh, we could braid Gable's hair and chat. Jason looks just like him, which is so bizarre. That's why everybody, even fans still think that kid is our kid. It's so funny. But I mean, I'm okay. I'm good with it. I mean, we even got matching shirts whenever even when I see him backstage, I always say, son, what are you doing? He'll come
and he's older than you.
Oh, it's funny. See, I don't care about that because Kurt has nieces that are older than me, and I'll be like, hey, niece, and they'll be like, oh, it's my beautiful aunt, and they're like 12, like 20 years older than me, so I don't care. But Jason's awesome. I'm such a team sport. I don't care about it unless they go like really fucking crazy, where I'm just like, okay, they need to calm down with this shit. But I'm such a team player.
I think Chad should have been his son. He's built like him. He looks like him. He needs to play him in a movie one day. Chad is 100%.
Shush.
Oh, shush. That's another one. I couldn't stand that when I first heard it. And now I love it. I laugh every time I hear it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I love it.
He found his thing.
Kurt in wrestling, he really does. He embodies
everything about him.
He's a phenomenal athlete.
His everything. It's so crazy.
Oh yeah, we're such Kurt's a mark for him. He loves him. So Jason
Jordan could have came out of you, and Kurt could have gave birth to Chad.
It could have worked. It could have worked. They could have formed the new Team Angle. It could have worked. But
me now.
No, yeah. I mean,
listen, that whole the one that I was around for was the Bray Wyatt Alexa Bliss thing. That was just to me. And I'll just keep it there.
Was she just gonna keep it like that before she gets
it there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't leave it there.
Well, so like, here's the thing. Like, I absolutely love Bray. And I love the Fiends, and I love the whole character, and like I love it. And I love Alexa Bliss, and I loved her as Alexa Bliss. And like what they had them doing together, just, you know, and they came to him and they were like, listen, we want to do this thing, and we think that you're the only one that can like pull this off, pretty much. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it is what it is.
Well, you're not alone. I feel like that's very validated, especially of fans of Alexa Bliss. That whole thing was just a little, it was taken in so many different directions, and then the way it ended, it was just, I mean, Monday Night Raw is already a hard thing to get through. So for that,
3 hours, man.
And you're definitely not alone. Well, listen, I'm a big fan of women's wrestling, and the two things that I love is dominance and presence. So I have to ask, if you were to get into the ring with anyone past, present, and future, I want to know, who would you want to get in the ring with?
Ooh. So Bianca Belair right now is killing it. She's killing it. I love her vibe. Like she's chill. She's good on the mic. She's just a badass. So I think her now. Gosh, like Lita. Lita was just, pioneering. You know what I mean? She was just great. So, but like now, I would probably say Bianca. I'd let her press me. I'll take it.
Be careful what you wish for on that one.
Careful what you wish for.
I know. They're like, oh yeah, but you want to be put through a table?
You are so obsessed with that. She wants somebody to put her through a damn table so bad.
Somebody to put me through a table. I do.
So bad.
Is that weird?
One day, bitch, I'll throw you in.
But I'm curious to know, like, who? But besides that, like, is there anyone that you see that you're like, you know what? I want them to put me through a table. Anybody?
I would love. I feel like I'm going to be Vince right now because he loves when badasses like do some crazy shit to him. I would love maybe like Ronda Rousey do something fucking crazy because she's like a real athlete. But it's funny because I say that to Kurt all the time, just like for kicks. I was like, what if I double leg Ronda right now? Because she'll be like warming up and shit in the back. I'm like, what if I double leg? He always says, he was like, you're on your own. And I'm just like, oh my arm, like, oh, you're gonna save me. Yeah, right. No, he's like, you're on your own. And I'm like, you asshole. And I was like, okay, but just to like say that she did that to me, I think that'd be so badass. Like, but
so, funny story, Giovanna. I don't know if I've ever told you this.
What?
I was at a show one time, and like it was crazy because like 2 weeks before I got into it with that lady who was like, I don't care, you better sit down. And I was like, bitch, what? Like I ain't even doing anything, right? She was just coming at me. Yeah. And like the next time I went to the show, it was it was Rhonda and the two other like UFC girls, and they were sitting next to me, right? And so like she was all the way at the other side, and I didn't really know who was who. And I remember I'm sitting there, and then the guy who was security that night texts Randy, and he goes, Randy, tell Kim not to fuck with the girls next to us. I swear to God, I gotta tell Rhonda. He's like, tell Kim not to fuck with the girls next to her because like they'll really fuck her up.
She's on her own. She's on her own.
Yeah, she's on her own.
Funny.
Yeah, that is funny.
I didn't know that one. You know who has some really awesome mic skills, and I don't think anybody's given her as credit as she deserves. Thea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I say this to her, I'll text her, and I'm like, the way you smile, it's like you are like looking right straight through them, like you want to kill them.
She got that evil little like
yes, yeah. The way she speaks, the way she smiles, and she's like I can like F you up, like, but like
because she's a New Yorker.
It's a New Yorker thing. Then I get it, but I like
she just starts going. She's
the way
but
she's amazing on the
when you're in trouble.
And then she puts on this accent, like a
I love that. I know. And then when she gets hot, And then when she gets pissed off, she's like, so let me tell you something, Carmella.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't seen it just for a few I didn't know that she changed her accents, but when she's mad, she goes back to that, like,
Yep.
you know, so we didn't know that. So Kurt would be sitting there. He'd be like, did she fucking change her accent? Like Lana? He was just like, she's like, no, I hope
in and out of that.
He was mad. He's like, why would they do that to her? Da, da, da. And then she changed it back to like Zelina. He's like, oh, I see what she's doing. Okay, I like this. So he was mad because she's so good. And he's just like, why does she have a British accent now? Like, what was that all about? But I love it. We love it.
That's amazing. I mean, so, you know, how do you all balance all of this? You're traveling, you're seeing shows, your parents, you're sustaining this amazing relationship with your partners. I mean, that's a lot to take on. You have the new podcast. I mean, it's a lot to try to navigate.
Yeah, we have a lot going on. Like
this chick's like remodeling her whole house right now. She's staying in the Airbnb.
Yeah, it's rough. It's really rough. Like Randy's not going to be here for Easter. And like that's you know, he's traveling a little bit more now because they're like kind of mixing up the Raws and the SmackDowns, and so he's going to be traveling a little bit more, and that sucks. It sucks. I'm telling you, like when COVID started, everybody was like, oh, this is terrible. And everybody got to be home. And me and Randy were like, this is kind of nice. Like you get to be home more and you're only going to work once a week. And, you know, so we kind of got in the routine of that. And now things are starting to pick up again. And he's starting to go back on the road more. And that kind of sucks. But having, you know, I got four babies that came out of my body and one that did not, but she is my baby too. And 5 kids, a lot of shit going on. You know, everybody got their things going on in schools and after school activities and parties and whatnot. And now we have the podcast. And now, you know, so there's just a lot. There's a lot. And it's the same thing with Giovanna. She just, you know, she has all her babies. Everybody's in different sports and
yeah, but Kim also say every single time that we're like Kim will be stressing out and we'd be like, Kim, do you want to just like push the podcast back a few days? She's like, no, this is my stress reliever. I get some drinks. I get to talk to my peeps, John and you. And this is like, honestly, this is our stress reliever. This is the hour to ourselves. Like I was going, that's why I needed my shot. That's why I needed my shot before I got on here because it was hell before I got on here. My parents are here from Florida at spring break. And I was like, I just need this hour to myself and talk to you guys and my bestie. And we love this. This is our time to just relax and just have the normal adult conversations and talk shit about our families. So.
Well, there it is. One final question before we get out of here. Actually, it's going to be a 2-for-1 because you guys do dish a lot of information about your husbands. Has WWE kind of said, hey, you know, because I know a lot of wrestlers, they have certain things they can or can't say. Has WWE realized like, hey, we need to, or you guys have free reign?
That's my husband. I can say whatever I want about my husband. And if they want to keep my mouth shut, they're going to have to put me on that payroll. Like, put me on that WWE payroll and I'll shut up.
We're not talking. The thing is that we're not doing anything to hurt their image. No. We're not bashing any wrestlers. This is all fun, you know, just normal. It's just normal conversations and fun conversations. And like, and also we're saying things that like fans are reaching out and say, wow, that hit me. And I'm going through the same thing. And just like, we try to have like, there's a moral to what we're saying sometimes and people can relate to us. And I mean, even though Randy Orton and Kurt Angle are who they are, who they are. Like, look at this fucking thing in the back. Like, are you kidding me? Anyways, but even though they are who they are, that people will relate in some aspect. And we love hearing stories. There's so many fans that says, wow, that really, that meant a lot. Like, because I'm going through some crazy shit with my husband or with my friend. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's fun to like bring the fans along with our journey, you know, it's like you guys are hearing our everyday conversation that we're having on the phone, and we're keeping it fun. And I think that
lighthearted.
Yeah. I mean, I found that like the birthday party episode really relatable, and I mean, all of them have been really relatable, but you're connecting to fans on a whole other level and giving this side of this, you know, of this story of, you know, that they don't get to see. And it's really like, it makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it you know, it's really amazing. So
thank you. It's funny because the fans want more, and they keep saying all the time how we all need a reality show, and I'm like,
and that's crazy that you bring that up, because I'm a huge fan of Basketball Wives, Mob Wives, and of course the Real Housewives franchise. So I want to know, you know, will we ever see anything on reality TV show with Wrestling Wives, or will we guys see you guys reach, you know, take that platform of a Real Housewives?
Listen, I say never say never.
Never say never.
Never say never. You put things out, you manifest things, and like I did my husband, and it comes back. Like, you get what you want. Like, I'm a firm believer of that.
100%.
Like, if you really want something, go out and get it. So if we really want that, who knows? You know, you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Okay. I sense an exclusive. Coming. I see this next year. This time you have a reality show going on. I know you guys have to take off, but before you go, can you just let everybody? Because first off, who guys are watching this, you guys need to check out this podcast. Like, it's everything. Like, it gives me behind the scenes that, you know, you can't extract from the wrestlers themselves. Like, you need because you see everything from a different set of eyes. So tell everybody where they can find the podcast and where they can find you.
This is where John would be amazing right now.
I know. And I'm like, Giovanna's better at this. I would only say you can check us out every Monday at 6 a.m. We come on. Just start your Monday off right. Don't let it be a dull Monday. Let it be a happy Monday. You can find us on YouTube, our social medias. We're always like on talking shit, but you go, G.
Wrestling Live.
Promoter.
Follow our Instagrams. Subscribe, please. Comment. We read your comments and we adore you guys, your positive feedback. Give us a 5-star. We have YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. If you guys can follow us, give us 5 stars and we will appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys so much. Like I said, everybody definitely go and check out the podcast.
You were a lot of fun.
Love you guys.
We're real New Yorker.
Randy and Kurt is, you can ask anybody. Kurt has always been at the top of my marquee, and Randy really changed the game of an evolution. So please,
did you just RKO him?
I did. I had my fucking knee on the desk. I'm like, oh fuck, that hurt.
You gotta go.
You gotta my wrestling moment, and I just blew it. guys.
Kurt's gonna be so hurt.
Well, that was an honor, honestly. Thank you so much for that visual. Honestly.
Maybe.
Thank you.
We're going to say goodbye like we say goodbye on our show. And
okay, guys.
We're going to bid you one dick.
As Rebby would say, make it a big one.
Make it a big one.
There it is. There you go. All right. Thank you guys so much. Like I said, definitely you guys are more than welcome to come on our show anytime you want to talk about whatever you want. I guess dicks and wine is included. Whatever you want, you can feel free. You're more than welcome to come on the show.
This was a lot of fun. We appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Bye, guys.
Hello, everyone. This is Women's Wrestling Talk News of the Week. I'm Emily May, and we're breaking down the latest news in women's Wrestling here on Fight TV. There is an update in All Elite news to the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. Ruby Soho has earned a spot in the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament, and on Friday's AEW Rampage, we saw Soho defeat Robin Renegade to become the 5th women's division competitor to qualify for the tournament. Soho joins Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter, Red Velvet, and Hikaru Shida as confirmed entrants in the women's tournament. The finals of the 2 tournaments will take place at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view on May 29th in Las Vegas. In other All Elite news, Thunder Rosa retains the AEW Women's World Championship against Nyla Rose this past weekend at AEW's Battle of the Belts. Also, in other news, Maria Kanellis-Bennett announced a new women's show in conjunction with Women's Wrestling Revolution, where you can join the Women's Wrestling Army. The first show will take place on Sunday, May 1st in Providence, Rhode Island, and tickets are available. So you can head over to womenswrestlingarmy.com and join the Women's Wrestling Army. She posted a video on social media where, through a voiceover, she talks about the journey. It's 1,000 seemingly insignificant decisions. It's the wrong turns, the dead ends, the climb, the process, the successes, and the failures. She continues to go on and talks about how she wants to create an army, a women's wrestling army. Kanellis is part of the Honor No More stable in Impact Wrestling at the moment, and the faction is scheduled to appear at the upcoming tapings at the end of April. In WWE news, Natalya recently appeared on the Wild On podcast, where she discusses women's wrestling, especially Ronda Rousey, and how she transitioned into pro wrestling. In the interview, she discusses Ronda's transition to WWE. 3 years ago, when I first was training with her, I found her to be really motivated. She really wanted to learn everything she could about what we did in WWE. She had done judo, she had done MMA, obviously one of the pioneer women of MMA, somebody that put women in MMA on the map. She understood pretty fast that WWE and pro wrestling is a whole different animal. Those are our highlights of the news this week. Watch our longer news segments every Thursday on Women's Wrestling Talk social media. I'm Emily May. Follow me on all social platforms at Emily May Heller. Thank you again for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
There's John himself, the lead.
This is what you guys asked for, and ask and you shall receive. They are the best.
They are the best. What a wild ride you have to have, like every Monday, trying to wrangle this podcast.
Yes. Every single week we have so much fun. I used to pour stuff into shot glasses, but now I just drink out of the bottle. So.
Not the Jameson.
Wow.
That's wow. Just right out. We just pop it right open and just.
Good for you. Oh.
Wow, they've had a great influence on you.
They have. Well, every episode we have our swear jar beads, and we count the swears, and whoever loses has to read our John Cena quote of the week toast. So,
oh my goodness,
it's stellar. It really is.
Nice. So tell us about producing the show, putting the show together. Like, how did you guys develop? Because you have different segments in it. I like the game, the swear jar, all that stuff. So how did you guys put that together?
So it really was a collaborative thing where when we were conceptualizing the podcast, it was kind of this free reign. The idea was simply Kim Orton and Giovanna Angle are best friends. They want to have a podcast, and we're going to call it The Wise of Wrestling. Now go figure it out. So there was no template, there was no anything. And I think we wanted a show that was just going to be different than anything out there in the podcast universe, right? Like, I mean, I alone have 7 pro wrestling podcasts right now.
Yeah.
And when you have so many different forms of content, they all need to be different. So they have such unique personalities, as you just saw. And I think that it came down to how are we going to be able to accentuate that? And what I learned about them, because I didn't know them at all, is that they're very real people. They're great mothers. They're great wives. And they have no filter. So let's lean into all of those little elements. And yeah, and we haven't even finished rolling out some of the ideas for the show, too. There's still some other things that's going to be happening in the coming weeks. So we're really enjoying that.
It's so incredible what you're putting together, and I know you are across the wrestling landscape, and so to take this on as well is amazing. You do such incredible work.
Thank you.
Do you have some surprises lined up down the line, or some surprise guests?
Yeah, I mean, you heard Giovanna teasing it. I'm not sure if I'm at liberty to discuss it, but we have a very, very prominent name in women's wrestling who will be coming on, I guess, in about a week and a half's time. So very prominent name that may have been mentioned during the course of that interview as well. So go back and find the Easter egg, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the plan is to bring in more wives. We had Rebby Hardy on, as they alluded to.
Yeah, that was a great interview.
And thank you. And Rebby, you know, I have Matt Hardy's podcast, The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. So I get that other side of that. And Rebby is just, she will cut right through you. She's the most badass human being you're ever going to meet. And we had so much fun with her. And, you know, the impetus for the podcast was the Table for Three that Kim, Giovanna, and Rebby did on the WWE Network back in 2018. And that was kind of the groundwork for this podcast. So yeah, it's been great stuff.
Well, last thing before we get out of here, because you're kind of like now our guest host. This is something that we do as a panel. We ask the panel questions so everybody can get to know us. So we're shouting out our best friends. If you can do a podcast with anybody in the world, who would it be and why? It doesn't have to be, I mean, I feel like you should shout out your best friends, but it could be anybody, you know, dead or alive. Who would you want to do a podcast with?
Oh, man. If I could do it with anybody, I feel like Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters would be an awesome podcast. I would love to just hear what would come out of his mouth. I'm a big music guy, so Bruce Springsteen like changed my life. So like he'd be up there. But man, I mean, Matt Hardy was at the top of my list, and we manifested that, so that was super cool, right? Last night I got to tape something with Jim Ross for the first time, and he absolutely is right there at the top of my list. Kurt Angle is one of my all-time favorites, and I've had a chance to host Kurt's show, and now getting to do the show with Giovanna every week. I'm really lucky and really fortunate. So those are a few names that come to the top there.
All right. Nickie, who would you pick?
Well, listen, I'm gonna have to be honest. I'm already kind of doing a podcast with my best friend here, Wrestling Talk, the most dominating tag team in women's wrestling talk history, the Salt Shakers. Me and Santana are here every Monday and Thursday for Monday Night Raw, and of course,
Sunday
for Turnbuckle Glam, and again for Impact Wrestling Recap. But if I had to pick one person, it is someone who I got a special meeting with over the WrestleCon weekend. We are both Tauruses, and it's none other than the DMD, Britt Baker. I feel like we could sit there and talk for hours. Honestly, I got to talk to her, and we hit it off immediately. So if I had to pick anyone besides my tag team partner, I would pick Britt Baker.
All right, Emily.
Oh my goodness, these questions are so hard, and TK. I have one non-wrestling person.
Okay.
And I have a wrestling person because I couldn't decide. So I have to do Thunder Rosa because we would eat tacos and have a host a podcast at the same time. She's so much fun. And I feel like we could talk about anything for hours and hours. And then the non-wrestling person would be Kristen Bell because she just is unfiltered. Her and Dax have kind of that fun, her husband have kind of a really fun camaraderie. And I feel like I feel like we could play some games and talk about Broadway musicals and Disney and everything under the sun. So those are my two.
Again, I feel like I lob it for you to pick your husband, and then you just never do. Her husband's a wrestler. It's like, this would be perfect for, because they're amazing together, but you never. That's just my.
We have our private podcast. We don't need to make it.
Oh, okay. On OnlyFans, check that out. I'm just messing with you. It's not there, guys. Don't check.
Like you mentioned the Broadway stuff, like. Sometimes you just want to step away from the things that you spend so much time covering and do something else, right? Like one of my favorite podcasts I've ever done outside of this one, of course, is I did a Springsteen podcast because I'm such a big Springsteen fan. Someone had me on as a guest, and I just talked about Bruce Springsteen for an hour and a half, and it was like one of my favorite things I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like talking about Broadway, like yeah, absolutely, do something different.
Outside the box, yeah, for sure. I honestly, I pick one of my best friends. She's like, I don't know if you're familiar with the, Key and Peele, where Barack Obama had the one guy, like he was playing Barack Obama, and I forgot the guy's name, but he was like, he said everything that was really on his mind. That's my best friend. She would be like, I would just lob things to her, and she would just like talk about swear jars. She would break that every episode, like crazy. This like Vietnamese chick from Canada who has a West Indian, and she's just everything. So she would be on my podcast because I would just lob things to her and she'll just go with it. So she would definitely be on my podcast for sure. But that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, John, for coordinating the ladies on, having them on the show. We really appreciate it. It was so much fun. We really appreciate you coming on and giving us some little nuggets at the end.
And John, don't be nervous. Don't be so nervous.
I'm not nervous about anything. I don't get nervous about anything. Listen, I've worked in TV news. I've been live on national television.
No, I'm saying about with them.
What I get nervous with them is you literally never know what is going to come out of their mouths, and it's the charm of the show. It's the beauty. I mean, Kim alluded to it. We had a full-on conversation for 13 minutes about penises, and like I don't know how we got there. I don't know how it happened. And
how you get out of it.
It ended up all over all the internet sites, like the wrestling sites.
Yeah.
And I love that. I mean, but that's they are so, and I think you guys saw it. They are so real and honest and fun. And I've always wanted to host a lifestyle show, and it's finally getting a chance to do it. They are the perfect people to do it, and they were strangers when they pitched this show, and now I genuinely consider them two of my closer friends, and we talk all day, every day. So I'm one of the gals, and nice. It's been a blast, and I really appreciate you guys highlighting them today.
Yes.
No problem. And where can everybody find you and did you say 18 shows you do?
Something like that. I don't know.
All the shows that you do.
Yeah. No, you can find me on social at John Alba, JONALBA, adfreeshows.com. Tons of bonus content there that I'm laying down. Podcast Heat, where you can find the Wives of Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast, or the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy as well. And many more projects to come. So thank you guys again. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. We will see you next time, because I'm sure there's going to be a next time.
I hope so.
All right. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.